earlier today, JuiceHead released an article that finally confirmed the rumors. Xbox and Bethesda are planning a January event to give us a look and likely some release dates for some of their largest upcoming games. And the phrasing of some of their games is actually pretty critical here, because one major game may be absent from this event. The event itself is likely to be called Developer Direct, and reportedly this is going to be hosted by both Xbox and Bethesda jointly. It's going to be streamed on January 25th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. And this overall is a pretty big bump to JuiceHead's stock. He was the first to report about hearing rumors about an event like this back in December, after Xbox was absent from the Game Awards. Although at this point it has not been officially confirmed, it feels like a very well substantiated rumor. Several other insiders have come out saying they have heard similar things, and I'll even throw my own hat in the mix. I have reasons to believe this is a 100% legitimate event, and it wouldn't be shocking to me if Bethesda confirms this officially tomorrow. But overall, I'm quite convinced that this event is legit. And I mean, even the VP of Xbox Games Marketing, Aaron Greenberg, on Twitter said this should be a fun week. This could be related to the Oreo collab, but I feel like it could be around this upcoming event. And this January event being real may have even confirmed another leak we got just a few days ago. But first, in his article, JuiceHead continues on to share some details on the event itself. From what we understand, this won't be a full-blown E3 scale kind of show, and will be a more intimate look at some of the upcoming exclusives. Reportedly, we're going to be seeing coverage of Redfall, Minecraft Legends, Forza, as well as content from ZeniMax Online Studios. And although that is a nice list of games, it almost feels like something is missing from the list. Oh yeah, that's because Starfield is apparently not going to be at this event. Starfield missing this event has easily been one of the biggest takeaways in the community from this recent reporting from JuiceHead. Does this mean Starfield's getting delayed again? What's going on? Well, JuiceHead gives us some further context around this on Twitter. He mentions that Starfield being absent is the part he is not 100% sure on, but how he always said this would be a smaller show overall. And that is one of the important details here. It seems like if you go into this expecting a full-scale E3-like event, you're going to end up disappointed. But instead, it'll be a very focused look at just a few games that Xbox has coming out. Redfall, Minecraft Legends, and Forza are all decently well covered at this point. It feels like the big thing they're going to reveal is the release date for those games. Although something that could actually be a pretty big announcement from this event is around ZeniMax Online Studios. In his article, Jez simply states that we're going to hear about content from ZeniMax Online Studios, and although that could just be ESO, ZeniMax Online Studios is also working on a completely new AAA MMO that has seemingly been in progress for 5 years. Supposedly this is going to be a new IP, and it seems like that could be a pretty big announcement, especially if that's a game coming out in 2023. But looking back at Starfield missing this show, does that confirm a second delay? Well, to be honest, I'm more on the optimistic side around all of this. I think one of the promising aspects of it being called a Developer Direct is that this is going to become a regular thing, almost similar to how things work with Nintendo Direct or even PlayStation State of Play. Basically, these are smaller, more focused events that happen periodically, as opposed to Xbox approach, which many years has just been, okay, we're going to show a ton at E3 and then some at the Game Awards, but otherwise we don't have many events of our own. Now perhaps we will have Xbox events scattered all throughout the year. Just speculates in his article, we've heard Starfield may even be skipping this show for a bigger marketing beat later on. So I could see a timeline where the first Developer Direct focuses on just these 4 games in total, while a second show pops up maybe in late February or maybe even March that is going to be solely focused on Starfield. A deeper dive into the game overall, a more proper look at some of the gameplay systems in action, and probably some quotes from Todd Howard that will age well or poorly. Obviously, as of right now, that's really just speculation, again, even to Jez's own accord. He's not 100% sure as to what's going on with Starfield, but obviously with this whole situation thus far, he's been very accurate for literally months now. Again, he called this back in December. And it's not like this is the first time he's gotten things right. He's been a prominent source on Xbox happenings for a while now. Either way, to me, Starfield missing this event is crazy. It's one of the most anticipated games in the world right now that is supposedly launching in about 5 months at most, so possibly even under 5 months. And yet, we still don't really know too much about it. You can't pre-order it, and of course, you don't actually know when it's coming out. And Bethesda's own marketing around Starfield has just been bizarre to me as of late. It feels like we get these short behind-the-scenes videos almost at random. And although I love the videos themselves, I feel like the format is really cool and interesting. At the same time, they've taken tons of questions from the community opportunity now to make 2 4-minute videos across several months, and otherwise we really haven't heard much of anything. It definitely feels like an odd situation with Starfield marketing, where we are actually hearing more about it several years before release compared to now, where we're apparently just months away from release. And to me, I feel like this early January event is a must-comment situation for Bethesda and Starfield. Whether that be in the actual announcement of the event when they reveal the dates and times, or even at the event itself, I feel like they have to say something, even if it's just a shout out for a future date where more Starfield intro will be revealed. Otherwise, there's going to be a ton of backlash. I think a lot of people will be very angry. Although there also is this leak. We got the lowest form of leak just last week. It was a random Reddit post from a random Reddit account, but it was pretty interesting because it claimed a Redfall release date of May 2nd, and Jez Corden later on confirmed that apparently that was correct. But they also claimed that an Xbox showcase would be happening in January, which now, with the recent news from today, it seems like that is all but confirmed. In December, Jez Corden predicted a Q1 event, and others had backed that up, but this random Reddit post was, at least for me, and as far as I can tell, the first time somebody was leaking or trying to confirm a January event specifically. Now, of course, if someone says Q1, you have a 1 of 3 shot of getting the month right if you say January, but who knows, maybe this actually was an accurate leak, and then potentially what else they said during this leak could be true. And the most relevant piece of information is that Starfield is actually coming out before Redfall, at least probably, which would be a pretty wild timeline, because that would mean Starfield's coming out in the next 3.5 months or so, or at least at some point before May 2nd. Since then, the account has been deleted, because of course it has, but overall it's definitely an interesting one. It's not just a throwaway leak, there's definitely some intrigue around this, even if it is ultimately fake. In the past, Todd Howard has said, specifically back in 2019, how he wished the time between reveal and release could be shorter.
I like when you really see the game to when it's out is as short as possible. Short as people will let me.
I mean, with Fallout 4, you guys again inspired a lot of other publishers to kind of go that same route of, we're going to announce it and then ship it 6 months later.
5 months, yeah.
5 months.
Yeah, that was as short as I was told anyone would allow me to do.
You would go shorter if you could?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe, I'm trying to think what's perfect right now. Maybe a week just to get people excited, to have those moments of, I saw it, there's some trailers, percolates in your mind, and they're...
So you would rather just not even...
Don't hold me to that, all right? Because...
Is it possible that Starfield could just be a couple of months away? That seems wild to me, especially when you consider that you can't actually pre-order the game yet. It feels like that in particular is the big thing. But at the same time, when you have things like Xbox Game Pass that a lot of people already own, literally millions of subscribers who will all immediately gain access to Starfield on release, perhaps a super short marketing window could work. It definitely would be pretty wild and experimental. We always knew that the Starfield situation would be a unique one. Bethesda Game Studios' first new IP in 25 years, their biggest release under Xbox, and what is really being positioned as a true system seller. And Bethesda's handling of the information diffusion has me constantly going back and forth. On one hand, it's like, okay, they're not saying anything. Perhaps they're skipping the showcase. That must mean the game's delayed, right? I mean, it'd be absurd for the game to be coming out in just a couple of months and you can't even pre-order it yet, right? But at the same time, what if that's not true? Then that's really exciting. What if Starfield is coming out in just a couple of months? What if we're going to have something like a late February deep dive into the game? You could pre-order it then, and just a couple of months after that, you could actually own the game and play it for yourself. That would be a pretty epic moment in gaming, assuming it actually all goes well and doesn't release in a massively buggy mess. So to me, the situation is really interesting that Microsoft, Xbox, and Bethesda are choosing to handle Starfield in this way, again, when it's really put on such a pedestal as being such a big game for the company. I could imagine some people out there perhaps feeling a bit bummed at this news, but at the same time, I feel like it's important to remember Starfield's one of those games where Bethesda could just tweet out like 5 seconds of new gameplay along with the release date, and I think hype would be back to firing on all cylinders. Thankfully, we have some outs here. Even if Bethesda does end up skipping the January showcase with Starfield, there's definitely other avenues where it could be shown off. And in general, I feel like this is a pretty exciting sign for Xbox marketing going forward. We'll likely be hearing from them more often, and we probably won't have another Starfield situation. Either way, those are the updates on all of that. Hopefully you guys found this one informative or interesting. I think we're going to be hearing from Bethesda pretty soon, so if that does happen, I will pin a comment with the update, but otherwise, you can get subscribed if you like this video, and I'll see you all next time. Later.